All right. Hey everybody. So I haven't done a video like this in a long time, but I thought I would go ahead and do one. I was actually thinking of doing this back in December for the end of the year, but that did not end up happening. I ended up going on vacation instead of finishing to edit the video, so thought I would redeem myself and do this here. These are my top 10 favorite albums of 2022 so far, as we are about halfway through the year at this point, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, these are just my 10 favorite records that I've been coming back to the most throughout the year. They were probably going to end up pretty high on my year-end list also in December if I end up making a video for that. So yeah, I do have a few honorable mentions. First, I do really enjoy these records as well, just not enough to put on this list. First, and in no particular order, just I think they go from when I listened to them first through the most recent album I listened to, like over the course of the year. So first is Capra Songs by FKA Twigs. Technically a mixtape, but it is just really fun, energetic, and just very addictive to listen to, I would say. Some of my favorite Twig songs are on this project. For example, Meta Angel, probably my top 10 songs of this year so far. Next, I have Laurel Hell by Mitski. Wasn't a huge fan of Mitski before this record, and now after listening to this record, which I really love, I went back to, say, Be the Cowboy, Make Out Creek, stuff like that. Just really great. Beginning to become a bigger fan of hers. Next, this is probably a lot of people's album of the year so far, I would say, but it is Black Country, New Roads, Ants from Up There. Really great record, just not something I would say come back to a lot, but it is really great, and I do understand why people have it in such high regard. Next is Saba's Few Good Things. I still need to listen to Care For Me, which, but A Few Good Things is really great. I find myself coming back to a lot of those tracks throughout the year as well. Next is Ghetto Gods by Earth Gang. Really great, energetic pop rap album. These guys are on J. Cole's label Dreamville also, if you haven't heard of them. They're very, just really fun to listen to. They remind me a lot of like Outkast, stuff like that. Next is, I don't know. Oh yeah, Red Veil, Learn to Swim. This guy is very, I'm really intrigued by his style. Very looking forward to see what he does next, as he is only 18 years old, and he also self-produced this whole album. Reminds me a lot of Earl Sweatshirt. Stuff like that. It's very, very enjoyable listen. I would say PG Baby is another one of my favorite tracks of the year so far as well. Next, got to shout out Harry Styles' Harry's House. Really enjoyable record. I wouldn't say it's on par with his first two records, especially his first album. That album I hold in very high regard, I would say. But it's still a very good time. My favorite tracks are probably Satellite, Late Night Talking, stuff like that. Yeah. Also wanted to shout out the Inside Outtakes from Bo Burnham. As you can see, I have Inside on vinyl back here. Inside was actually ended up being my album of the year last year, so getting a sort of extra helping of tracks from the whole Inside session recording stuff is very cool. There's some great tracks on it, very funny moments, very introspective moments as well, of course. Yeah. And last honorable mention, I know there was quite a few here, but I wanted to also shout out Post Malone's new album, 12 Carat Toothache. I know the reception has been pretty mixed on this album. Not my favorite Post Malone album by any means, but I do really appreciate where he was coming from for this album. It's a very introspective album for him, very emotional. And I honestly do quite like the production choices he made on here. I think it kind of adds to the whole atmosphere of the album being very dark, very moody, and yeah, pretty solid record. All right, got those out of the way. So time for number 10, which is the album Incubator by the artist called Primer. I found this album partially through Bandcamp, as it was Bandcamp's album of the day back in April, and also on TikTok. I believe she has a TikTok there. One of her videos popped up for me. I was like, this sounds really interesting. So I went and listened to the full album, ended up buying the vinyl of the album as well. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. It's very much like synth pop, mixed with some hyper pop elements. It's just very refreshing, just some very refreshing synth pop I've heard in a long time. And yeah, she kind of reminds me, say, like Florence and the Machine, mixed with like maybe, yeah, Church's style production, stuff like that. Very, very enjoyable. Number 9 is the album 5 Seconds Flat by Lizzie McAlpine. Really enjoy this record too. I'd always like been aware of Lizzie in the past, just through a bunch of my friends who were into her. I've just seen her a bunch on social media, say TikTok, etc., etc. And coming into this album, it really blew me away. I just loved the overall storytelling throughout it. A lot of like indie folk elements as well as some rock elements in there as well. The track Erase Me with Jacob Collier really hooked me in. That track is amazing, and my favorite is probably the closer, being Orange Show Speedway. It's just very reminiscent of Phoebe Bridgers, Olivia Rodrigo style stuff, and yeah, I can't wait to see what she does after this also. So my number 8, this record actually shuffled a lot throughout my list, but ended up landing here, especially after I saw this artist live this past week. This album has just been in rotation ever since, and that is Who Cares by Rex Orange County. Actually, I'm wearing one of the shirts from the show. There you go. You can see it a little bit. But yeah, this record, again, not my favorite Rex album. I still do like Apricot Princess Pony a little bit more than this, but this album is really great, and it really shows how Rex can really bounce back from some emotional events in his life, as he did go through a breakup before this record, and just give us what he's always been giving us with these lighthearted, very uplifting tracks about love, self-esteem, stuff like that. And it's just a great, fun listen. Number 7 is It's Almost Dry by Pusha T. Part of me wants to say this is better than Daytona, but I'm not sure if that's... I don't think so. But yeah, this is just a really, really energetic, fantastic listening experience. I really liked what he did when he went from... Well, there's 12 songs on the album. 6 of them produced by Pharrell. The other 6 produced by Ye. And I just love the back and forth production style. It brings a lot of flavor to the album, which is something I felt like Daytona kind of lacked, as it was fully produced by Kanye. But this one, a lot of more variety, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. And some of my favorite songs, the closer, I Pray For You, probably my favorite closer of the year so far, or at least one of them. I just love Labyrinth's contribution on that especially, and to bring Malice back to have kind of like a Clips track in 2022 is really, really enjoyable. And yeah, just a really fun listen. It's fun to see Push back on his bullshit. Number 6 is the third LP from the band Hippocampus, also titled LP3. This album, I've always been another one where I was like not a huge fan of them before this record release, but coming into this album releasing, I went back into their catalog, listened to their first album Landmark, which is really, I do really love it, but I've always had a qualm with it being very like kind of late to the party, I would say. It's very reminiscent of early 2010s indie rock, and as that album came out in 2017, it kind of felt like they were playing catch up a little bit. Still a great album, but I have that kind of with it. And then with their second album, Bambi, they started to experiment a little bit more. That album also, it's kind of feels a little like two-faced in a way to me, but then coming into this new record, and especially listening to their EP that came out right before it, I could tell they were really starting to solidify their sound, and this album just totally blew my expectations through the roof. Like, this just, I can just really tell their sound was fully realized with this record, and it really shows. And every song is fantastic. And yeah. Number 5 is another one that's kind of has split opinions on. It's Crash by Charlie XCX. I totally understand why people were kind of disappointed, as she kind of went more in this generic pop route with this one. But honestly, I still really enjoyed it as a really solid pop record. And there are still elements of Charlie's more experimental stuff, like the self-titled How I'm Feeling Now, in there. And this is just a great album to drive to. I drove home to this album recently, and I just saw it in a brand new light also. Like, I just keep finding stuff to love about this record. And Lightning is another one of my favorite tracks of the year, as well as Constant Repeat, Move Me. Yuck has really grown on me as well. Just some great pop stuff. Number 4 is the most recent addition to this list, I'm pretty sure. It is Farm to Table by Bartees Strange. When I listened to Bartees' first album, Live Forever, back in 2020, I was just totally mesmerized and immediately a fan of this guy's work. He's got more like this, it's definitely indie rock through and through, with some folky elements, like some Bon Iver elements, some even some hip-hop thrown in there as well. And this new album just totally blew me away. Like, getting to the songs like Wretched, Cosigns, Escape the Circus especially, just everything from that I loved about Live Forever was just heightened by like 10 times 10 times 20, whatever. It just was fantastic. And yeah, I can't get enough of this record. It's been out maybe 2 weeks at this point, almost 2 weeks. And yeah, it just totally, like, wow. Number 3 is Dawn FM by The Weeknd. This was my number 1 for about a few months. As some of you might know, After Hours ended up being my album of the year for 2020, and is probably currently still my album of this decade. Just came out at the perfect time, especially for me, and I know a lot of other people, as it was right around the start of the pandemic and everything. But yeah, this album just truly defined that year for me, or sipping After Hours, truly defined that year for me. And coming to this new record, Dawn FM, I would say my expectations were high. They weren't like, I knew he was trying to switch stuff up again, get even more of that 80s synth pop style, and this totally delivered on that front. And I love the whole entire concept that was woven into this album. The features, especially like Jim Carrey and Quincy Jones, even Tyler the Creator. Not a huge fan of the Lil Wayne feature, but that's probably my least favorite moment on the entire record. This entire record is very, very good, and I've listened to it up until this point, since January. And yeah, I also can't wait to see him in like about a month. I think I'm supposed to go see him live, which will be hopefully fantastic. Yeah, so great record, great record, of course. The Weeknd, one of my favorite artists of all time, so you know. Also, I didn't mention my favorite tracks on Dawn FM. Those are Don't Break My Heart and Less Than Zero. Fantastic songs. Number 2, again, was also my number 1 for a few months. It is the new Denzel Curry album, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. With this album especially, Denzel just kept proving to me that I really do believe he's the closest thing we kind of have to another Kendrick Lamar, I would say, with his use of storytelling, his fantastic, unique production, just everything, his energy on a mic, fantastic. And I can safely say this is my favorite Denzel project as of right now. I was wondering if he was gonna top Taboo, and he did. This is amazing, just a great rap album. My favorite tracks are probably X-Wing and Troubles with T-Pain. Yeah, those are fantastic. All right, and that brings me to the number one record as of right now, and I can see this definitely being still in my top 3. Who knows when the year's over? And most of you probably guessed it already. It is Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. This record, wow, oh my god. When I tell you 5 years was worth the wait, yeah, it definitely was. This, one I'll tell you right now, better than Damn, I would say. So probably number 3 in his discography overall for me. This record, it's a very personal record, the most personal Kendrick has ever been. And I enjoy almost every freaking second of it. My favorite songs have changed a lot. My favorite song, which is also my favorite song of the year so far, is definitely Savior, featuring Baby Keem and Sam Dew. That track just totally, it took me a while to really like sink into my brain, I would say, but this track I love every freaking second of, and especially I've grown to even like it even more after his Glastonbury performance was fantastic. Yeah, other tracks I really enjoy. Count Me Out was another highlight, at least on first listen. Mother I Sober, of course. I cry every freaking time I listen to that song. The opener, United in Grief, is fantastic. That really, like, on first listen, when I press play, I was like, this is what I've wanted this whole time. This is fantastic. And then also Father Time was another big moment for me. And yeah, Auntie Diary is very important, powerful song there as well. Just the whole album, man, I have not stopped listening to this for over a month now, and I probably won't until the year's over. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about this album, and I understand if it's not your thing entirely, but for me, this is just what I needed from Kendrick, especially at this time in the world and in my life personally. It's just amazing. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Yeah, catch you in the next one. If I do a song or whatever, I don't know, probably a song. Apologies if you hear the damn trash truck outside now, but yeah, that's a good time to stop. Okay, bye.